Welcome to the Veterans Archives podcast, where every veteran story is honored and celebrated. Join us as we delve into the rich histories and experiences of those who have served our nation. You can catch our podcast on all major podcast platforms, as well as every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wreaths Across America Radio. At Veterans Archives, we believe your story matters. Visit our website at www.veteransarchives.org to explore more about our mission, discover resources for veterans, and stay updated on upcoming episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to engage with our community. Subscribe, like, and share to spread awareness about our veteran stories. Whether you're a veteran, a supporter, or simply curious about the profound journeys of those who have served, Veterans Archives invites you to listen in, learn, and be inspired. Join us as we continue to honor and preserve the legacies of our veterans. Today is Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. We're here with Joe Dormady, who served in the United States Army. So good afternoon, Joe.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Great. So we're going to start out real simple. When and where were you born?
Ithaca, New York, November 4th, 1936.
Okay. And did you grow up in Ithaca, New York then?
Yes, I did.
All right. Your whole childhood?
Yep.
Okay. Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have 5 brothers.
Oh my gosh. So a total of 6 boys in the house?
Yep.
Oh, your poor mom.
Yes. Many people have said that.
Did you keep her busy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So was your mom a stay-at-home mom, a homemaker, or did she
Yes.
work? Okay.
Yep.
And tell me if you could, like, when you think about your mom, what's one of your favorite memories about your mom?
She was just so nice. I mean, she was warm and took care of you and was always concerned about you. Mm-hmm. How you doing? You know, what could we do and all that stuff. And always had time for you.
Well, that's not, with 6 boys, that can be hard to do, right?
Right.
And then what about your dad? What did your dad do?
My dad was a railroad engineer.
Okay.
And he was a very, very good guy. Mm-hmm. Loved to smoke cigars, have these big cigars. That was his treat.
Uh-huh.
So,
now, when you smell cigars today, does that remind you of him at all?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And was he gone a lot being an engineer?
Not a lot. I mean, the good news was he had been an engineer for a long time. So he was a senior engineer on the railroad. So he had his pick of routes wherever he wanted to go. So it was always local, right around Ithaca, New York. So he was home most of the time.
Oh, that's great. That's handy.
Yeah.
It is. So where were you at in the pecking order of 6
Next
boys?
to last.
Okay. So you almost got to be the baby of the family.
Almost.
Do you still get that special, did you still get the special treatment, or was that just reserved for the youngest?
That was just reserved. Well, actually, I got the special treatment.
Did you?
My older brothers really took care of me, you know. Any problems occurring, any bullies that came my way, they took care of.
Yeah.
So I always felt safe.
What kinds of things did you do as a kid?
Just what kids do. I went sleigh riding. We lived in Ithaca, New York, which has a lot of hills. Uh-huh. So we did a lot of skiing, especially in the wintertime, sled riding, all that stuff. It was really great. And Ithaca is the home of Cornell University. Mm-hmm. So there was always something going on at the university. I got to meet Robert Frost, the poet.
Really?
Yeah. It was a different era then because he was going to talk at Cornell. So I wanted to go listen to him because he was always my favorite poet. And I didn't have any money, but I wanted to get a book and have him autograph it. Mm-hmm. So I went to the Cornell bookstore and I said, I don't have any money. I don't get my paper route money until 2 days. But could I get a book and I'll pay in 2 days? And they said, sure.
Wow.
So they gave me a book and I went up and listened to him. And afterward, I went behind stage, met him, and had him autograph the book. And it was great, you know, because he was always my favorite poet. So
What a wonderful experience.
Oh, it was. It really was.
And I'll share something with you that not a lot of people know. Robert Frost is one of my favorite poets as well. So
Oh,
the minute you mentioned his name, I thought, wow, that's
whose
incredible.
woods these are.
That's right. That's right.
He
The
is
woods are
terrific.
lovely, dark and deep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is terrific. He was terrific.
he was. There's something about reading his poetry that for me anyway, gives me a certain feeling.
Yep. And it's relaxed. I mean,
Yeah.
it gives you a nice comfort.
No, absolutely.
Yep.
So as kids, did you tend to like do things together? Were you close enough in age that you did a lot of stuff together then?
Yeah, a bit. Yep. My youngest brother and I, of course. Then my older brothers took care of us, so
Right.
we used to do things too.
Well, when you think about hanging out with your brothers as a kid, what's one of your favorite memories about being with your brothers?
You always felt safe. You know, you always felt secure, and you always knew they were going to take care of you. They do cared about you, and you cared about them. It was a very caring relationship. So
Okay.
it was great.
Did you guys pick on each other though, like brothers will?
Well, occasionally. Occasionally, my younger brother, my younger brother, and I used to hide. And when one of my older brothers came by, we used to jump out at him, and stuff. So it was a good relationship.
Yeah.
It really was a great family.
Was it kind of the deal where you could pick on each other, but no one else could pick on you guys?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always felt protected.
Okay.
So
Well, tell me a little bit about school. What was school like for you?
school, well, I shouldn't say I hate to say that, but I was kind of a bookworm and stuff like that. I really enjoyed school. I enjoyed learning, and then, and I was actually pretty good at it. So used to get all A's and stuff like that. So it was, it was good time for me.
Right.
I never really objected to going to school at all because it was good.
You never gave mom a hard time about getting up early and going to school?
Nope.
Oh, I wish I could say that.
I know. Most people do.
Right.
But I really did enjoy it.
What were some of your favorite subjects in school?
Math. Oh, always loved math. So English was okay,
Uh-huh.
but math was my real love in school.
So what is it about math that you liked? I know it's kind of a weird question, but I'm just curious.
Well, it's just the logic.
Uh-huh.
I always liked logic. Always liked philosophy because of the logic and all that stuff. And that's why I like math, because it's very logical.
Right. 2 + 2 is always going to be 4, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Whereas with some other subjects, there's all these different rules, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah. Well, even with English, right? I before E except after C. and-
I before E except after C.
Yep.
Yep.
Did you know there was another part to that? Except when sounding like A as a neighbor in way.
Oh, no, I didn't
Yes.
know that part of it.
Yeah, I learned that when I was in kindergarten. And I say it today and people look at me like I'm crazy, but anyway.
Oh, I don't think so. That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll remember that.
So you did you play any sports at all in school? Did you do anything like that? Any teams?
Played baseball a little bit, but nothing, I always wanted to play football, but at that time I was really short and fat.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't have a lot of stamina and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I finally grew up and finally slimmed down. So
Did that happen like during school at some point, or did that happen after school?
well, it happened actually when I went to high school.
Okay.
But I was always a chubby kid until I hit high school, and then I gradually slimmed down and got taller, much taller.
And so how was high school for you?
High school was good because I had slimmed down.
Right.
I was taller. And, well, I'll just tell it right out. I was very smart.
Uh-huh.
So I had never had any problems in school. It was always boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So
Did you
I
find
lost a lot of that.
Did you find that people treated you differently when you slimmed down and grew taller, or did people just kind of treat you the same?
Practically the same because it was always a friendly bunch,
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a great experience
Oh, it was.
all through school.
Was.
So what happens after? So high school comes around, you make it through school. I'm assuming you graduated.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens after graduation?
After graduation, I went into the what I really wanted to do was to go to college, of course. And we didn't have a lot of money. We really did not. So I went in, I applied for the Air Force Academy. And I was accepted, but I flunked the physical because I have slight color blindness. And they said, we don't want you dropping bombs on the wrong people. So
Right.
so I didn't go there. So I volunteered for the Army, went in the Army, came out and used the GI Bill to go to college.
Okay.
So
Well, let's talk a little bit about your Army experience then. So had you ever been away from home before you went to the Army?
Not really, not on my own, no.
Okay. And then how soon after high school did you actually leave? You know?
Probably about 3-4 months.
Okay. So you kind of had that summer and then you...
Yeah, I had the summer and then I went in November.
Okay. And where'd you go to basic?
Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Wow. Interestingly enough, when I deployed to Iraq, our deployment site was Fort Dix, New Jersey. And I'm pretty sure it's some of the same buildings.
Probably. And that's where once I was all done, that's where you ended up to get released, And
Right.
so.
Right.
And
So talk to me a little bit about you. You arrive at boot camp. Now I'm thinking you probably just took a bus there to Fort Dix.
Pardon?
Did you take a bus to Fort Dix?
Yep.
All right. So what was it like stepping off that bus into basic training the very first day? Do you remember that?
Not really, other than, you didn't know what was really going on, but you knew you were, going to be a soldier.
Right.
That's what you were there for. They said I had an appointment to the Air Force Academy, but couldn't go because I have this slight color blindness.
Right.
So, hence the Army.
So you were ready to be in the military.
I
It
was.
was just a matter of when and where.
Of where, yeah.
Yep. Were you? So did you know what to expect for boot camp, or was any of that a surprise to you? How was boot camp for you?
Well, boot camp was okay. I mean, it wasn't thrilling.
Right.
That's a lot of work because before we did, I was in high school. I was a little chubby kid, and then eventually I lost a little weight. But the Army just was perfect for slimming you down and making you quote right,
Yeah.
physically. So
Yep.
it was okay.
So that's where you got your physical fitness was when you got into the Army.
Yeah.
Did you make some good friends in basic training, or anybody that you kept in contact with after?
Not after much, no.
Okay.
Because after basic training, I went into the Army Security Agency, and that was a bunch of spooks and spies, So you really didn't talk about anything because it was all top secret stuff.
Right.
So
where did you go to school for that?
Fort Devens, Massachusetts.
Okay. So you're still right out there on the eastern.
Oh
part
yeah,
of
on the eastern
country.
seaboard, right?
Okay. And how long was your security school?
Pardon?
How long was your school? How long was that schooling? Were you there for a while?
Probably, I would say about 18 months.
Okay.
It was a long time because you learned an awful lot.
Now, did your math background help you with that school at all?
I think so because it's logic. Math is really a logical thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were doing as part of the Army Security Agency was logic, putting pieces together. And so
Right.
interesting. But yeah.
So were you an analyst then? Is that kind of what your job
Yeah.
was? Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then you get done with your training, and then where did you go from there?
Well, I went overseas to Germany
Okay.
and kept an eye on the East Germans. At that time, it was East Germany, West Germany.
Right.
So we were kind of looking out at the East Germans to see what was going on.
Was that kind of exciting?
Oh, yeah, it really was. You felt you were doing something, that needed doing. I guess it did, if you look back on it, but it was exciting. And the other exciting part was you were so trusted. I mean, the Army trusted you to do these things, and it really felt good
Yeah.
that they thought I was competent enough to handle all this stuff.
And you're a young guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't very old when you were doing that.
No, I was 17, 18.
Wow.
So
It's a lot of responsibility.
it was, but that's what made you feel good about it, that they trusted you to do that. So you did it.
So what kinds of things did you do off duty when you were in Germany? Anything exciting when you weren't working?
Nothing much, although the University of Maryland had a off-campus kind of thing in Germany. They have a worldwide thing. So that's what you did. You went there, to get some more education and stuff. But
Okay. Were you able to work on your degree as part of that then while you were there?
Yep.
Okay.
So that all worked. It was great.
Yeah. You were kind of getting what you were wanting, right?
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
education.
And getting paid for it.
Yeah. That's not a bad deal.
Not a bad deal at all.
And how long were you in Germany then?
I guess about 18 months.
Okay.
So,
And then where did you go from there?
well, from there I got out and I went to college at the University of Toronto
Okay.
in Canada. So,
Why Canada? I'm just curious.
because my aunt had a friend who went to the University of Toronto
Okay.
and thought it was the greatest thing that ever happened. So since I was in the Army and I'm getting out, I had the GI Bill. University of Toronto was terrific as far as expense because the Canadian government paid a third of your tuition. The province of Ontario paid a third of your tuition. So all you had to do was pay the other third. And I got that under the GI Bill. So it was terrific as far as not owing any money or not borrowing or not anything,
Right. That's an amazing deal.
Yeah,
actually.
it was. It was a terrific deal.
And you could use your GI Bill in Canada. I didn't realize that.
Pardon?
You can use your GI Bill in Canada.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. I didn't know that was part of the benefit.
Well, I guess you could go anywhere as long as it's a college or recognized university, which, of course, the University of Toronto is. So, yeah.
So you went there for 4 years then?
No, I went for 2 years,
Okay.
and then I got married, and we lived in New York. So I went to Fordham University to finish up for the degree.
Okay.
So
Well, tell me about this marriage. So where did you meet your wife?
I met my wife at the University of Toronto.
Okay.
So she was a fellow American,
Uh-huh.
and we just happened to hit it off.
Now, where was she from?
She was from New Jersey,
Oh.
so
Okay.
I don't know why she was in Toronto, just like I don't know why I was in Toronto.
Somehow
But we
you
were.
ended up there.
It was great.
Yeah. Well, can you tell me about when you first met your wife?
Let's take a quick break.
Veterans Archives is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we rely on donations from our listeners. If you are enjoying these stories and would like to support our continued efforts, please go to www.veteransarchives.org and select the donate button. Thank you.
We were in a Latin class, of all things, because I like math, but they had a deal that for every math you took, you had to take a language. So I took Spanish because I had this math. I took geometry, so I had to have some other language. So that was how it worked at the University of Toronto. So we met in Latin class, and she said, I kept looking around, and there was always this girl back there looking at me, saying, wow, So I finally asked her out, of course. Later, she said she wasn't looking at me. She was trying to look through me. She said, your big fat head was in the way. So,
Wow. Well, you think about the things that had to happen for you both to be at the same college and both be in Latin class. That's
yeah,
no coincidence.
it was. But as I said, I had to take Latin because I needed another language because I was taking another math. So
Right. And what were you going to school for? What was your degree going to be in?
I was going to teach. I was going to become a teacher. And as it turned out, of course, I didn't.
Right.
But I ran into computers, and I just loved computers because they did what you told them to do.
Right. Right.
So I became a computer specialist and went to work for Burroughs, which was a computer manufacturer.
Yeah, I recognize the name. I do want to back up a little bit. So how long did you and your wife date then before you got married?
Probably about a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess about a year.
And then you got married. You moved back. Did you move back to Ithaca, New York then, or?
No, we were in Toronto, and from there I moved to New York City, Queens, New York.
Okay.
So.
And then you went to Fordham.
Yes.
And did she continue on her education?
No.
Okay.
She worked and put me through college, really.
Oh. Well, that's not a bad deal either.
Right.
Okay. And so you went to Fordham and you got your degree in computer science then? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So it was very good. It was just, Fordham is a good school.
And then did you stay in New York then?
Yes.
All right. So after you graduated college, then what'd you do after that?
Well, we lived in Long Island, and I went to work for Burroughs, which was a computer manufacturer. So I worked out in New York, and commuted in from Long Island.
Now, was this back in the days of the giant computers with punch cards and things like that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so what was that? What was it like to work on computers back then?
Well, you really were, at that time, a pioneer, because it was all new. Computers were all new. And initially, when I started working on computers, you were always so nervous because you were afraid you were going to break them. Because you weren't smart enough to know they're not going to break.
Right.
So, and then, I just fell in love with computers, so.
Did you find that your work in the military, in security services, did any of that kind of translate over into computer work? Did it help you with that, or?
No, it just helped you to understand the whole area of working relationships, what you had to do and all that stuff. Follow through, follow up, all that.
Okay.
So it gave you a path to follow as far as working goes. So.
Well, did you work on any interesting projects at Burroughs? Any big things that you did?
Oh yeah. I worked we had the very first, as far as I know, computer that was working on projecting elections and stuff. And I was involved in that, trying to come up with programs to do this and do that and just figure out what was going to happen. So project the future, really.
Right.
As far a limited future, of course, but so very interesting. It really was. I really enjoyed it.
And so talk to me a little bit about that, because this is when you think about that today, I could pull up a website, I can punch in some numbers, and it does all the work for me.
Oh, it sure does.
But this was very manual at the time.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And punch cards and, the mag tapes and all that stuff. And even paper tape. So, well, really interesting, I mean, if you like the logic of it all, which I do, of course.
Right.
So it was just terrific. It was a perfect spot for me.
So how, what's my question? I know what I was going to ask you is, did any of your predictions come true?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So you were able to predict the outcomes of things then based on the analysis from the computer.
Yep. So mostly elections,
Yeah.
you projected elections, and almost always they came through. That's all just logic, based on this, this, and this. This is going to happen, and it does.
Right.
So,
As long as your data's good.
yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. And you didn't try to fudge things. Oh, wait a minute. I'd really like this guy to get elected. No.
You want a predictive analysis. You don't
Yes.
want to.
You don't want to.
Right?
Just what you felt is right, but no. Fact, fact, fact.
So, and how long were you at Burroughs?
Oh, I don't know, really. A long time.
Uh-huh.
I was a senior specialist, really, so
Yeah.
it was a good place to work. They did take care of you well.
Now, did you retire from Burroughs then?
Actually, I did, but then I formed my own company, a consulting company, obviously dealing with computers. So, and that was good too. That was,
And this was so you formed your own consulting company. Would this been in the 60s by then?
yeah, early 60s, I guess.
Okay.
Yes.
60s, 70s. So what was it like computer consulting during that time? Because it seems like everything was changing so rapidly.
Yeah, but you changed with it.
Right. Right. And is that
you had
kind of
to
what
stay
you
on
guys did?
top of it, yes. But, if you enjoyed it, which I really did, I loved computers. It was one of those things you just say, well, just go on with it,
Right. Right.
So it all worked out well.
So in all this time, any children?
Well, I got married, and
Right.
then we had children. We had a total of 4 kids.
Okay.
So
Girls, boys?
all girls.
All girls.
Yes, my harem.
So did your wife stop working then after you graduated, or did she continue to work after?
No, she worked. She just enjoyed it. But once the kids came, of course, she didn't work. She, was a mother.
Right.
And that was her career.
Right.
So,
So tell me about having 4 girls. What was that like for you?
oh, it was terrific.
Was it?
really was. Such sweeties. They really are. And, fortunately, they all were well, and they all were smart. So you couldn't ask for more than that.
Right.
They were kind. They were, they really were. They still are, of course. Very good kids.
Now, were they fairly close in age?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We had the 4 all under 5 years old.
Oh my gosh.
So like one a year, boom, boom,
Wow.
till we figure out what caused it.
Yeah, that's half the battle, right?
Right.
Well, you're a smart guy, so.
Yes. Wait a minute.
So tell
But
me,
yeah.
tell me about your oldest daughter. When was she born?
Oh, I have no idea
Okay.
anymore with numbers like that.
Yeah. What do you remember most about her?
She had epilepsy,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes it was really tough on her because she'd study and then have an epileptic seizure, and it would be all gone.
Oh, no.
So she'd have to go all over again. Till finally, they had we found out, they had a cure for it. They had to have it's a brain operation. So it was, that's kind of scary to talk about that.
Right.
But, so we finally, she finally had the operation, and it went away, and so she was perfect.
Wow.
So,
That's pretty amazing.
oh, it was glorious, it really was.
So what did she go on to do then?
Oh, she went on to become a special ed teacher. She went through college and all that, of course.
Right.
And now she still is, except she's a consultant now. But she was a special education teacher and worked with the blind. Just thought it was just so good and so needed and so rewarding. when you had accomplishments, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So she just loves it. Right now, she's still consulting on a part-time basis. If somebody needs something, she's there for them, you know.
Oh, that's good.
So, yeah.
Now, what about your next oldest?
Next oldest, she also, I guess they all are, she's very smart. So right now, she's a senior vice president of like Standard & Poor's. So she got her PhD. So she really, as I said, she's really smart.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so are the next two. you
Yeah,
know?
so tell me about the next two. The next two, yeah.
Well, Chris, who was the third, she was very, very happy-go-lucky, happy, wanted to be involved in everything. She was very into things, you know. And Jean, who was the last one, she, I don't know how best to describe her, but same thing, very smart. Right now she is the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, and Chief Operating Officer of the Joint Commission. The Joint Commission is a group that certifies hospitals.
Okay.
So they do a lot of work in the hospital area and all that stuff. So they all did very well.
What does Chris do?
Pardon?
What does Chris do?
Chris
No.
was, she was kind of a consultant, it's financial. She got into the finance end of it, you know.
Okay.
And she really has done a great job. It helps me out. Figuring things out. That's what I do. But no, she is good. They all are good, I have to say. They all turned out wonderfully well. So I attribute that to my wife.
Yeah.
She's a perfect person. But go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, do you have like a favorite memory or something from when the kids were growing up and something you may have done as a family or something just like sticks out in your mind when you think about your family?
I don't know. I mean, it was a family. I mean, really, we all enjoyed each other. They were just terrific kids. They really were. And a lot of fun. So.
Well, it sounds like you're proud of them too.
Oh, very proud of them.
Yeah.
And they've all, as I said, they've all done well. CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Senior Vice President of Standard & Poor's, and I mean, good big companies. So they all did very well. So I don't have to worry about financing them or anything.
Right. What's the old adage? They're never really off the payroll, but it sounds like maybe you've accomplished that.
I did, yes. It was.
Yeah.
Well, they accomplished it, really. They're very, very good, very smart.
Now, do you have grandchildren?
Yes.
Okay.
They each have two,
Oh.
boy and a girl. It's amazing.
So you went from all boys to all girls to
boys and girls, right?
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. And they are doing well, too. They're, you know, I don't want to brag, but they are sharp kids.
Yeah.
So, not bragging, it's, as they say, if it's the truth.
That's right. That's right. If it's truth, it's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a couple of questions and kind of jump around a little bit here.
Sure.
You know, we talked briefly about your time in the Army and the time in Germany. And so when you were in Germany and you're doing all this spooks and spies stuff, is there anything you can talk about that happened while you were there that was, you know, kind of exciting, that maybe made a difference or a change?
Well, there was one thing that was kind of exciting. Didn't make a difference. Well, it did, obviously, cut me out of trouble. But at one point I was hemmed in by some East Germans. And to make a long story much shorter, I was rescued by the airborne. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the airborne. These were the 81st Airborne, but it doesn't matter. Any airborne will do. So they rescued me, and I've been grateful ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's like having a group of big brothers that really knows how to fight.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It really was incredible. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
And so was this the same time the Korean War was going on?
pardon?
Was this at the same time the Korean War
Yes.
was going on?
Yeah.
And fortunately, you didn't have to go to Korea then.
No, I'm a Korean War vet, as they
Right.
call it, because I was in during that time. But I was stationed in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So
So did any of your spy work involve any part of the Korean conflict at all?
not really. You know, it was more keeping an eye on the East Germans and Russians. So
Right.
that's what I did.
Well, interestingly enough, like the Russians were our friends for a while there, and that kind of all went by the wayside after World War II.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have lived a very interesting life. You've gotten to do a lot of great things. You served your country. You've gone to college. You've raised an amazing family. You have grandchildren now who are going to do amazing things as well, I'm sure. As we close out our discussion, though, is there anything that I've forgotten to ask you, or that you would like to talk about before we go?
Well, none of this would have happened without my wife, who's just an amazing person.
Mm-hmm.
So all credit goes to her. She really is good and smart and beautiful.
Well, so tell us a little bit more about her. She does. I met her briefly while we were here. She just seems like an amazing person.
She is.
Yeah, she helped raise your family and helped you go through college, and now you're here taking care of each other.
Yep.
And where did she grow up again?
She's New Jersey.
Okay.
Monmouth Beach, New Jersey.
So she's a Jersey girl then from
Yes, she is.
way back. Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, we met in college. She was my college sweetheart.
Well, and I think we're fortunate if we have someone like that in our lives.
Oh yeah.
And how long have you been married?
60 years.
60 some odd years?
60 some odd years.
A long time.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a long time though, does it?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's been great. It really has been.
Well,
So-
with all of that in mind, if someone is listening to this years from now, let's say 100 years from now, unless some magic of modern science happens, neither one of us will be here 100 years from now.
Right.
What would you like them to take away from this conversation, but also really, what would you like people to take away from your life and how you've lived it?
Well, I think I don't know. It just do things and do things right, do right things right. How about that? As I said, and hopefully find the woman of your dreams if you're a guy, or if the girl, find the man of your dreams. And just treat them with total respect and love, and you have such a wonderful payoff. So I guess that's it. That's what makes your life. And she makes mine.
Well, Joe, thanks for sharing all of that with us. Thanks for sitting with me here today.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Veterans Archives podcast, where every veteran story is honored and celebrated. Join us as we explore the rich histories and experiences of those who have served our nation. You can catch our podcasts on all major podcast platforms, as well as every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wreaths Across America Radio. At Veterans Archives, we believe your story matters. Visit our website at www.veteransarchives.org to discover more about our mission access resources for veterans, and stay updated on upcoming episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to engage with our community. Subscribe, like, and share to spread awareness about our veterans' stories. Whether you're a veteran, a supporter, or simply curious about the profound journeys of those who have served, Veterans Archives invites you to listen in, learn, and be inspired. Join us as we continue to honor and preserve the legacies of our veterans. Remember, your story matters. Visit us online today at www.veteransarchives.org and connect with us on social media and stay informed and engaged. And as always, thank you for your support.